at least on the international side. So thank you for joining the call. Um, our agenda today is fairly straightforward. We're going to have a CORFAC 101 presentation, which I think most of us haven't had. And what it is it's a description of what CORFAC does, what resources CORFAC makes available, just so that we're all on a sort of a common footing as to what CORFAC can do for us. And of course, from that, there's an opportunity to learn more, to provide your commentary as to what you think could be improved, but also in particular for how you would like to maybe incorporate some of these things in your own business. After that, a market discussion, then just a few administrative matters with respect to year end and for the new year of CORFAC. I think everyone probably knows everyone who's new on the call. Maybe Francisco and Esteban, if you would just very briefly. I know Francisco, you've been on the call before from Costa Rica and from Chile. Esteban from Mexico, I think you've been on the call before as well. Otherwise, I see lots of familiar faces on this call. So I think, Jonathan, with that, may we begin with CORFAC 101?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. So everybody on the call, we normally do this a couple times a year, and it's open to all CORFAC members. And then we also do specialized ones for individual firms. So we're going to go through this pretty quickly because we've got other business. But if your firm feels like you want to do one for the people in your office, we'd be happy to do that at a future time. So we're going to cover a lot of information in a short period of time. So here we go. That picture you saw just a minute ago, that was our most recent conference in Atlanta. Great time. We had about 150 people there. And for those of you who've been to a conference, it's just a great way to meet CORFAC people. And we're very excited that about a year from now, we're going to be in Amsterdam. It's hard to believe that it'll be 7 years since we were in London. But we're coming to Amsterdam and looking forward to it very much. So I'm not going to read these slides, but about a year ago, we implemented a new strategic plan for CORFAC. And, everything that we do as a network ties back to the strategic plan, meaning we follow it as our guideline. And if there's a new project that comes up, an idea, we want to make sure that it fits into the strategic plan. So here's our vision, our mission, our value statement, and what we like to present, what CORFAC is all about. We have almost 900 members within 75 offices now. I'm very proud to say that we just added our 9th CORFAC Firm of the Year, a new firm in Cleveland. So we're growing. We've got lots and lots of highly qualified people. It's exciting to see the network grow and the collaboration of, the international group. And this is our 35th year. Hard to believe, but here we are. And this gives you a visual of, where we are, what we do. And Jennifer will talk about this in a little bit, but we have pieces that are available to you to use in any presentations that you make, such as this map, to show to clients, potential clients, who you are and what you're part of, and you all are part of something bigger with many offices around the world. Quick shot. This is also available to you. This is something we compile every year, showing the type of business that we do in the network, and that continues to grow. Another visual of what that the business looks like. I know many of you know that our roots are in SIOR, so CORFAC is still pretty heavy industrial and office, but the retail side has grown dramatically. Investment, property management, like family development, all those things have grown within the last 5 to 10 years. Just another visual look at how, and again, these are all available to you if you ever want to use them in your presentations. As you know, CORFAC is full service. Our offices, for the most part, do just about anything. And I would always say to everybody on this call, when you talk to a client, a potential client. As David Pryor in Los Angeles said, ask the question, meaning ask your client if they have requirements in other markets where CORFAC can help, because we are pretty much in every major market. And this is, something that being part of CORFAC, being part of something bigger, these benefits apply obviously to you and your clients here. This is a new visual we put together. It's kind of exciting to see. We did a survey maybe 6 months ago where we asked our members to list some of their clients, and this is a really nice list of what we got back from our current members. I will turn it over to Jennifer now. Jennifer, if you want to talk a little bit about some branding and marketing and that sort of thing, it'd be great.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jennifer Norbit. I am the Marketing and Communications Director at CORFAC, and I have been working with Jonathan and Diane. The three of us came over to CORFAC together. I think we're coming up on 10 years ago. So we have a long history with the organization, and I know I've met many of you. So it's nice to see your faces. And for those I don't know, hello. But the branding and marketing collateral, Jonathan mentioned, we've got a range of branding tools and templates and logos. And there's been a pretty concerted effort throughout the network to ensure our firms are branding locally and using those tools to help elevate the network. So if you have questions or if there's anything else we can provide support-wise there, please let us know. We also have a full-service consultant who helps us with our PR and marketing efforts, and she's on the call. And Patricia Truagos, if you want to say hi briefly, I think I saw you on here.
Hi everyone. I'm Patricia Truagos. Like Jennifer said, I work with the network in their branding and public relations and marketing efforts. I think I've spoken with many of you, met you in person, but if you ever have any questions or need assistance in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out.
And Patricia is calling in at 6 a.m. California time, just to show her dedication.
Patricia has coordinated with Daniel the International Insights social media campaign, where we feature an international firm, a little bit of market data, and we promote that on social media. So if you hear from Patricia or Daniel, please definitely take that opportunity, because it's a great way to do both internal marketing in the network, but also get your brand out there to the entire CORFAC world of influence that we have. So, and then a couple of other things briefly, the technology and education discounts. Jonathan and the network has worked very hard to develop relationships with some of the industry's top service providers. So a lot of the organizations you see there, we have discounts or subscription deals with some of these groups. And so we encourage you to ask us if we can provide any more information, or take a look on our website. And if there's a company there that could add value to your business, contact them, and they'd be happy to work with you as part of the network. Best practices. So I know Jonathan and Diane will talk about this later as well, but our entire network is built on the idea of collaborating and sharing success stories and strategies. So our conferences, our Zoom sessions, we focus on sharing of best practices to help you improve your business and business development. So these are just a few examples of how CORFAC as a network works to brand and elevate the brand throughout the industry. So there's one of our ad campaigns on the left, and then some of the social media and thought leadership tiles on the right, and also some of our done deal. We like to promote network referrals. So if you happen to do a deal with another member, please let us know. We'd love to showcase that and put it out there on social media. We have some shareable templates available for all firms to use as well. So here's an example of our shareable Canva templates that you can customize. You can co-brand and use them for social. So we do have those available. Let me know if you'd like to get any of these graphics and use them as part of your affiliation. We'd greatly appreciate that. Jonathan, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about the business development opportunities, but
Again, I'm not going to read the slide, but you know, we hope that when you do deals, whether they're CORFAC deals or they're not CORFAC deals, that you put them into the database, because that's really the only way we know that deals are getting done within the network. And those big numbers that we showed you earlier, the 10,000 deals a year and through the network, that's the only way that we can accurately compile that information. So I would encourage you, and Diane will give you a look at the backside here in a minute of the website where you can do that. And then I mentioned earlier, you know, when you're talking to clients, make sure you let them know that you're part of CORFAC and that you can help them in just about any market around the world. And I would say the final bullet there is about investment, about specialty calls, Zoom calls. I think you all know that we do at least one call a month. And tomorrow we have an investment sales call. Next month we have a top economist who's going to talk about the 2024 and what lies ahead to 2025. And we always look to you if there's topics that you want to see presented. I mean, we've done a range of programming from specialty areas, office, industrial, retail, to economists, to programs targeted at next gen members. So we are always open to those ideas. And while I'm saying that, I mentioned we're going to be in Amsterdam next September. If you've got any ideas or thoughts on education programs for that conference, please let us know.
I'll jump back in. We have a CORFAC app, which is available for all members to download for free through the Apple Store and through Google Play. It's really a nice mobile version of the tools available on the website. So a few of the key features are there. All you have to do is go to the Apple App Store or Google Play, search for CORFAC International, and you can download that and use it on the go. I don't know, Jonathan, I can share this too, but Build Out Sync is a resource that we have. We have a relationship with Build Out, which is one of the transaction management and listing technology companies that has been a great supporter of our network. And we do have the availability for firms to utilize their listing service at no charge as part of your affiliation with CORFAC. They are currently focused in the US and Canada. I believe they are expanding in a couple of international markets, and they are working to grow that segment. So if it's not something that's available to you right now, we are being told by Build Out that it's on the way. So we're hoping to see more global integration of those listings soon. Jonathan mentioned our investment sales platform. It's a very straightforward platform where you can share investment opportunities through the CORFAC website. We hold calls in other networking. We try to provide networking opportunities around this 3 or 4 times a year at face-to-face, and then also the calls Jonathan mentioned. So please take advantage of this if you've got any investment opportunities to share.
Hi, my name is Diane Harris. I'm the Director of Meetings and Membership. And good morning, good afternoon, good night to everybody on the call. We have 2 upcoming conferences. We have our conference in the spring in Los Angeles. And as Jonathan mentioned, we're doing our fall meeting in Amsterdam. Registration will open in about a month in mid-December. We encourage you to attend. We encourage you to send your staff. It's a terrific, fabulous hotel. We're really excited about going internationally. The last time we were international was in London. Fairbrother it is a meeting we still reminisce about. They hosted a reception at their office. It was such a wonderful conference, and we're, planning on this being the same. We have next gen scholarships available to your folks that are younger and new in the business, and that would underwrite the cost of them attending the conference. So that's a nice thing for folks in your office. We also have a first timer registration. So if you send two people from your office, that third person, if they've never attended before, can attend at no cost. So I hope you guys will join us, and let us know if you have any questions about that.
I think we pretty much covered these items, but this is just a recap of the things to get the most out of your membership. And, again, we're really moving fast through this information, and Diane, I think, is going to show you a little stuff on the backside of the website now. But if after this you feel like you want to do a CORFAC 101 for your office only, please let us know.
Anybody have any questions about that first part before I get into website information? All right, I'm going to go at a very quick pace here for this. Okay, so as part of CORFAC, we have a members only section of our website. You all should have a login. If you do not, or if you haven't been in here lately, shoot me an email, diane@corfac.com, because I can reset your password or, do whatever we need to do to remind you what your login is to get you in here. We recommend that you come in here for no other reason than to update your member profile. If you Google your name just in a Google search, this is one of the things that's going to hit. So if somebody meets you out somewhere and they go in and Google your name, this is the information that's going to come up, and is your information update in here. This is like a business card. It's like LinkedIn. So we really encourage you to come in here, put your bio, your designation, education. It's the other thing is I get calls from members saying, hey, can you pull a list of everybody that's an SIOR or everybody that specializes in some, medical office space? And if you don't have that designated, you're not going to be pulled in that list, and you're going to be missing out on opportunities to do business. So, Jennifer, I didn't show you the front end of the website, but Jennifer's done a really good job with our web developer of keeping this fresh and fabulous and very easy to navigate. But I know I'm going to go faster. I have only a few minutes, but a couple of the highlights are, so we have a system in here where you can email everybody in the database. It's the email system in here. You can send people by state, by country, whatever you want to do. And let's say check all. Next. And it's nice. You put in the subject line here. It preloads with your contact information. You can attach a file, and that will be sent to everybody in the database. And like I said, you can kind of select that down to however you want. Another way that you can send an email to everybody in the system is under our reports. So we have, again, this is member reports. You want to know everybody has an SIOR or CCIM designation, or who's on a certain committee or specializes in certain areas, and then you can narrow it by state. And this downloads as an Excel document, which is quite nice. So then you could sort it. You can, do whatever you want with that list. And this is another suggestion. If you're sending a note to everybody in the database, or say everybody in internationally, and it's a lot of names, sometimes spam filters filter that out. So sometimes folks do an Excel and then they break it up, you know, do the email with 100 names in it rather than the whole 900. The other thing Jonathan talked about was adding your transactions to the system. I know this has been like sort of a battle for us. It's a blessing and a curse. It's like a white pages or yellow pages of every client that's worked with a CORFAC broker, basically. So we were doing a training with our office out of Minneapolis a few years ago, and she said, "Hey, has anybody done business with somebody at Sherwin-Williams?" And we went in here, put in Sherwin-Williams, looked it up, and indeed, our Houston office and then our, I think it was Richmond office had both done business with Sherwin-Williams. So she was able to go into a pitch meeting with Sherwin-Williams and say, "Did you know you're already working with 2 CORFAC offices?" So that's really why we want you to put transactions in here. And then you can even search transactions. So you can come in here and say, you know, I wonder how those folks at Porter, let's see how Kevin Cox is doing. How many transactions does he do? Does he do a lot of business in the network? And then you can search that. And then this is going to give you all the transactions. You'll see CORFAC to CORFAC transactions, who he's worked with. You can do this in all different ways. You can do this by, you can do it by state. You can do it by specialty. You can do it by, you know, CORFAC to CORFAC deals, country, time periods. It's just a really great resource, but it's only as good as you guys putting the information in there. And then I don't know if Jennifer wants to talk specifically about the toolkit, or since we're like flipping along here.
Right. All I would add is that the things we talked about earlier, the marketing resources, logos, and branding guidelines, those are all indexed here. So if you can't find it here, please reach out. We're happy to provide it to you, but we do keep everything posted here on this on the website.
And then old conference materials are in here as well. So if you're not able to attend the conference, we have really terrific speakers and their materials are in here. You know, economists that have, gosh, you look, they send you their slide deck ahead of time. You think, goodness gracious, how are they going to do this in 50 minutes? But they do. And there's a lot of really great information on those slides about, you know, current events and things happening. This is another link to those industry partners that Jennifer mentioned earlier with links to more information. This is that investment sales platform that we talked about, where you can search haves and wants, an update, put your own information in there. I think. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Does anybody have any?
One thing I would just add, you know, Andy just asked a question in the chat about where to look up clients or where to put clients, and Diane showed you that. But if there's ever anything you can't find, if you say, "Well, I know, Jonathan, we don't have a firm in this market. Do you have any suggestions?" Because I get approached by a lot of companies in places we have firms and we don't have firms. So sometimes I might say, "Yeah, I've got a warm prospect in Spain, call them up." And that might incentivize them to consider joining CORFAC. And I would also say that, Andy, if you do a search and you don't find a client in the database, you have the ability to send something out to all members in CORFAC and say, "Has anybody done business with XYZ company?"
And then actually one last thing. So our initiative last year was getting every single office to have branding on their website. And we came so close to being 100%. So up, you know, 20 or 30% from the year before. So this year's initiative is getting people to update their firm profiles. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but I do this training for when a new broker joins an office. I'm happy to do a training. I can do it during one of your staff or sales calls. I can do it. And I had a guy who was he did, I think it was multifamily or something that he did. And he pulled a report and he's like, "I have business. I'm calling these people tomorrow to give it to them." And I thought, my gosh, if people do multifamily and they don't have it marked in there, this guy is not going to be calling them. So you've gotten an email from me already this year. I know because I sent it to every firm. This little tab up here that says my firm profile, it lets you come in here and it says member edit. And this is everybody in your office is in here. So I can go in here and I can update Jonathan's profile for him. So if I'm sending you and harassing you and sending you emails, I notice there's photos missing. Some of your staff don't have information updated. And this is for the people that have special permissions at your office. So they're admin or the principals. If you want somebody to do this and have special permissions, I can go in and add that to their profile so that they can go in and do this information. Anybody
So-
have any other questions about that?
Yeah, I mean, we've thrown a lot at you quickly but it's important stuff to remember about the network. And, again, you're part of something bigger and there's a lot of great resources. So if there's questions, please ask them. And again, if you want to do something for your individual firms, we're happy to do that. So Daniel, we tried to keep that relatively brief and
That's perfect. Thank you very much. And as you said,
Thank you. And I'm actually going to jump off the call, but like I said, if you guys want individual training, if you have questions about updating your profiles or anything that was covered here today, I always joke Jonathan does the sexy part. He goes out and recruits the office. I'm the person you talk to after you join for everything else. So just give me a holler if you need anything. And thank you. Hope to see you guys in Amsterdam in person.
I have a question.
Yes.
This presentation and others, it's not emailed out. So when will it be available to us?
We can send it after this call if you'd like.
Okay,
And
thank you.
also, I think don't we have on our YouTube page, Jennifer, some 101 trainings on there?
We do.
Yeah,
So
we'll
we
have
even
to
have
arrange a
full-
101 for our office and I just want to make
Absolutely.
sure that we've got all the stuff. Mohammed
Yep.
here is going to arrange to get that on. For everybody.
Absolutely. Happy to do it. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as always, if anyone has any suggestions, everyone is all ears, so please let us know. And I think really the point of the CORFAC 101 is that generally at conferences and Zoom calls like this, we see the principles of firms, which is great. But of course, behind everyone, there's a team, as always. There's other people. And what CORFAC 101 does is it tries to let others know within your organization how they can use CORFAC to help them. And having said that, the last pitch that I'll make is in going to conferences, Diane made the point about getting it, the third person goes free and that sort of stuff. The more people we can get to attend conferences, the more relationships that can be built, and therefore, hopefully, the more business that can be generated. If we could I thought we could take an opportunity just to hear from some markets. And Esteban, I know you're not prepared for this, but I hope you'll share a few thoughts with us. From United States perspective, of course, people talk about nearshoring in Mexico being very important and that a lot of changes will come about. Could you tell us how the market is what's happening in Mexico and what you're seeing there?
Yes, good morning to everyone, or good day. Yeah, well, as you know, nearshoring, I mean, it's a word that we're using a lot here in Mexico. And to be honest, nearshoring, most of the investment coming to Mexico is from China. Now that Trump got elected, there's been a lot of investment stopped at this point. They are looking forward and see what is going to happen with the USMCA agreement. As you know, this USMCA agreement will be taking renegotiations on the 2026. But even though it's in the 2026, it's very probable that President Trump will like to negotiate on the next year. Very specific things. One of them is, of course, the Chinese. Since there's a lot of investment from China, they are putting here big manufacturing companies and sending a lot of products to the U.S. So they say that they are cheating in some processes. So they want to look up for these kind of problems that they are having. So right now, Mexico is being like a kind of a stop in the market in the Chinese investment right now. For instance, I had 3 clients looking forward to establish in Mexico. One of them, they mentioned that they'll stop the investment, and they are probably investing in Detroit. They don't know yet. And the other 2, they are just on hold, to see what is going to happen. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the investment coming from China. But on the other way, we have an American company that they turn on their project, and they are looking to establish in Mexico. So we see Chinese stopping their investment, but I'm sure that companies from the US or from Europe will start to invest in Mexico. So we'll see what is going to happen in the next months.
Does the Mexican government offer incentives, tax incentives, and other incentives for a business setting up there from abroad?
Yes, I mean, they always give incentives, but right now I think it's all the investments, all the market is looking at the renegotiation of the USMCA. No, to be honest. So
Yeah.
it's kind of the market slowed a lot, and we'll see what is going to happen. No, we had, for instance, in San Luis, an OEM coming. I don't know what is going to happen with it. It's Chang'an, the name of this OEM. They do electric cars. We know that, for instance, Tesla, that it was going to invest in Monterrey, stopped their investment. And I believe they are moving to Central or South America. And we know that Elon Musk is very close to Trump. So that's one of the big reasons. I mean, just to share with you, I was on the negotiation when Ford was going to have their investment in San Luis in central Mexico. I was involved in that negotiation. And when Trump was elected, even though they had already bought the land, they had 300 hectares acquired from an industrial park. They started already the construction. And once Trump was elected, they decided to stop the investment. And we're looking the same with Tesla. Tesla decided to move. I mean, it's like confidential. There's no news about it, but the ones that we are in the market knows that Tesla is not going to invest anymore in Mexico. So there's going to be a lot of changes in these coming months. So let's see what happens at the end.
Yes, I guess we'll find out soon. January 20th is coming soon. Charlie, can we hear from your market, please? You're smiling. That's a good sign.
Well, there's a camera on the someone's taking a photo, so you've got to smile, haven't you? Yeah, I think London's been tough as it has everywhere globally on the investment side of things, but there's some trophy assets which have changed hands. The smaller bits have been a struggle, obviously due to costs rising and all the political unrest everywhere. Donald Trump getting into power, which is congratulations. I'm very proud of America. But it's tough. I mean, on the leasing side of things, only the best buildings are letting, which is the best quality, amenity rich. The availability rates are quite high in all the submarkets in London, but it's only sort of the top 1%, which is actually the bit which is trading and letting. It could be at 10%, 8%, but it's only 1% of that actually is letting. The poorest space is really a real struggle to let. And some buildings you can't let at all because they haven't got the investment to bring up all the credentials of ESG credentials and we have different ratings in terms of energy performance certificate ratings. If they're not a B or a C, you just can't physically can't let them in the next couple of years. But you know what we are seeing, there is some American money come over. There's one company, Ares Capital, buying a lot of stock and paying quite a lot for it. That's really exciting, but you could probably name a handful which are active at the moment. But on the investment side, it's pretty tricky. And then Alistair deals with more investment stuff. So he's not there anymore. And then on the, so going back on the industrial side, that seems to be ticking over. It was booming. I don't do industrial. Don't know, Andy, you might do a bit more than I do up in Scotland, but it's there's a letting done yesterday. I think I was reading in the React News, which was 647,000 square feet, let to a sort of low cost budget shopping guys just using it as a base. But it's that's a humongous deal, and they will be traded quite quickly. So once you get the lettings in. It's a struggle, you know, we're getting there. The flow of deals has slowed down, the legal process has taken forever. I'm not sure what it's like in other markets. It's, you know, normally the leases used to take, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks. Now they take 3 to 6 months. Which is ridiculous. I don't know whether, say, Ian and Andy have the same problems, but it really impacts on our businesses, which we're trying to forecast fees and so on. We're doing a lot more tenant work as a business, which is more exciting, and you know you're going to guarantee something at the end of the day. And a lot of those tend to be UK businesses. They don't tend to be international because it's the sub-sizes we act for. All the big corporates have deals with Cushman's and CBREs and James Lang's and Colliers, etc., which is what CORFAC always fights, and the SIOR guys fight as well, unless they're in the big corporates. But it's okay. The market's struggling along, but it can only get better. It's a positive out of it. You're on mute.
Sorry, thank you very much. Thank you, Charlie. If anyone has any questions for Charlie, please go ahead. If not, then why don't we cross the pond again and go to Canada? I see Ray and Sandy are here. Perhaps each of them can share a little bit about the market there. And I know that is Andy on the call? He was on the call. Andy, actually, Ray, then Andy, as you know, had saw that some airports in Scotland were now being acquired through an affiliate of a Canadian pension fund. So maybe the Canadians are back on the road again and looking for Canadian assets.
Sandy, I'll defer to you first if you'd like.
On mute.
The Canadian pension funds are wanting to lessen their retail exposure, both internationally and in the enclosed malls here. They want to convert as much of it to mixed use by adding residential, but I think that that's to prepare them for sale. So when the Canadian pension funds are selling, that's an excellent time to be buying. And when they're buying, that's an excellent time to be selling internationally. You have to realize the mindset of the people running these funds, and it's a lot more exciting to get on a plane to Singapore to do business than it is to fly to Western Canada. And we start to see that. We have joint ventures with 2 of the pension funds, the bigger pension funds, Ontario Teachers. We're doing a multi-residential 2,000 unit project now. But you can see that they're lessening their full-time equivalent employees, and they're struggling to find out who they are. So that's an opportunity internationally. As far as international investment coming in here, there's not so much. The biggest buyers are still family offices and private individuals. Those are the investment buyers. And some international folks are selling, as a matter of fact. Again, probably a good time to be buying. And that's my report.
Thank you, Ray.
Jenny, you probably have stronger relationships with some of the Canadian pension funds than I do, based on your
Well,
board.
with respect to the market in Toronto,
no,
how are things,
but-
what's happening in Toronto these days in that area?
To talk about, Sandy spoke about the investment side, to talk about the leasing brokerage, sales to user side. Certainly is that renegotiation of the U.S. Canada Mexican agreement, trade agreement, as mentioned, that's very much in discussion and of concern. Canadian dollar's at a 4-year low against the U.S. dollar at this point. As far as where Canada fits in the international scale on the international scale, with respect to just sort of local market activity, Toronto's catching up now. We're, as far as back to the office, we were sort of at 2 days a week. We're now moved up to 3 days a week, I think, in general, and catching up with some of the activity, in-office activity in other countries. So there have been a number of large office leases. It seems to be cutting down on the number of folks that are downsizing when their leases come up for renewal. On the industrial side, certainly seeing more vacancy. It's more back to the norm we had 15 plus years ago, as opposed to what we had in the last 5, 10, and maybe 15 years. A lot of large new product has come in the market, and it's been vacant for a year plus. It's not moving that fast. I do notice on the smaller properties, there is prime space that moves, but if there's anything that's a little deficient about your property, be it ceiling height, shipping access, amount of whatever, it takes quite a while to move it, be it a lease or a sale. So it's just slower, longer timelines, smaller volumes of activity. That seems to be the new norm.
Thank you, Ray. Speaking for Switzerland, what's interesting is whenever there's uncertainty in the world, and certainly there is now, investors do come here and they do look for product, and so that's an active market. And also, just in terms of construction, there was a tremendous lull in office, and in particular an office building over the last couple of years. But somewhat surprisingly, it's picked up, and I don't know whether there's clearly they're typically about half or 60% leased. So certainly some businesses are setting out new footprints, and indeed large footprints as well in this market. Andy, could you share a bit about your market in Scotland?
I did. Just following on from the London guys' chat. I mean, Scotland's quite a small market, 5 million, 5.5 million people. In terms of the property character, our country has got a second government system here. The London government provides separate parliament in Scotland based in Edinburgh. So there's an election coming here in 2026, which we're looking forward to. The kind of the idea is that the London government, which is Labour run, may come to Scotland, which would be a good thing, we think, for the property market. And similar to Ian in London, our market here is just starved of capital. Interesting in Switzerland, just saying the spec office development, that's something that in Scotland there is virtually zero spec office development, which is creating its own issues because rents are shooting through the roof at the moment. Ponte de Gea, the Spanish investment arm of the Zara family, have just purchased a new investment here. It's their second investment in Scotland that they've purchased, in the Mint building, which is an office building in Edinburgh. But the investment market's starved of product because there is no product available. I think the industrial market that we were talking about earlier is very buoyant in Scotland. A lot of the freight stops kind of halfway through England before it gets to us. But again, that market's starved by capital. And the rents are shooting through, but there's just no development happening. So construction companies in Scotland are few and far between. We've had a number of construction companies going bust. So it tends to be Irish construction companies we get in our local market. So there is one or two major projects. There's a government project to build a massive prison in Glasgow that's rumoured to be taking up quite a lot of the construction traffic. So it's tricky at the moment. I think the retail market has come out of the doldrums that it's had. We had far too many shopping centres. No one's building anything new. I think the only positive for retail in Scotland is retail parks. They seem to be doing really well. New rents and lots of investments trading. And finally, residential market stalled here because the local government have put in rent controls and caps. So private sector pension funds can't invest into our market at the moment. So that's why we're hoping the elections in 2026, the Labour government comes up to Scotland and that will release some of those rent caps for us. Student housing is booming, but again, I think that market will cool off in the next 12 to 18 months. So yeah, that's our market.
Similar. And while we're in your neck of the woods, Ian, would you care to share a few words about your market?
Yeah, no, very similar. We're currently enjoying an election here as well. Don't expect to see any huge change in government. Clearly, the Irish economy is very exposed to what goes on in the US. So, you know, similar to what Esteban said, there's a lot of decision making on hold. We have, however, seen what I think is the largest office letting in Europe. Workday have taken, I think it's 425,000 square feet in a spec office scheme here. So the office vacancy rate here is quite high, but a lot of it is quite poor quality. So what we're now seeing is discussions taking place regarding the development for the next cycle. And most of that in an Irish context is done fully spec. So we're expecting to see construction start on new schemes for the next cycle in the coming year. Investment wise, still very slow, but that's really driven by the lack of stock. But we have finally seen some insolvencies start to come through. The Irish banks were not very active this cycle, so most of the lending has been by overseas debt funds and German banks, a lot of whom have been very slow to take action. But that action now seems to be happening. So we're sort of starting to see a bit more deal flow, you know, across all sectors. Similar to what Andy was saying, the retail market has been very strong, especially in retail warehousing. There's been no new retail development in Ireland for probably the last 15 years. So as the population has continued to grow and the economy here is performing very, very well at the moment. So consumer spending is up. We've seen you know, a lot of retail assets changing hands, a lot of new money coming into retail, and rents are starting to rise. Again, similar to the situation in Scotland, we are burdened with rent caps, which has essentially almost completely stopped any build to rent development here, and has resulted in you know, something of a housing crisis. So nothing will be done on that until after the current election is finished. And similarly, on the logistics side, we're still sort of feeling, I suppose, the benefit of Brexit, if you will, in that we're no longer serviced from the UK. So most businesses are building new facilities in this country, which has meant rents and development has continued very strongly. And that's pretty much the Irish picture.
Thank you. Philip, in Belgium?
Yes, yeah, sorry for my doorbell if you hear it. So Belgium is also a pretty open economy. And yeah, we had we had some tough times, like everybody, I guess, with the rising rents. But at the moment, the rental market is going strong, and a lot of smaller warehouses, let's say, up to 1,000, 2,000 square meters are fully let. However, we see that big logistics players are vacating their properties. So it's a very strange market, to be honest. It's most of the deals we are doing are rentals, not so much sales at the moment. Although there's still some appetite from investors. But what my guess is that current prices are still too high, and the owners or the people who are selling are not yet. How should I tell this? They're not used to the fact that the interest rates are have risen, and so the property prices should fall somewhat. So there's a disconnect between what investors want to pay and what property owners want for value for their property. So it's this. How do you explain this? Some sort of without when you're in space, you're a little bit floating around, and I think dust still has to settle, and I hope that for next year things will go a little bit better, but we will see, because if the big man in America decides to put on tariffs, slap on tariffs on Europe and Asia, then yeah, it will be not that easy, I think, for Europe either. So it's all in all, it are interesting times. Not easy, but interesting times.
Right, appreciate that. We have a few minutes left, and Mirella and Francisco. Mirella, if you'd share a couple of minutes or so, or even less. I think we have 4 minutes left in our call. Sorry.
Yes, of course, I will be brief. So for Romania as well, it is an election time, exactly next week. It's kind of an election time where we cannot say who is going to win and so on. But anyhow, what we are sure about is the fact that after the election in 2025, there will be some increases in taxes. Okay, it is a bit of a pressure on the business environment, but we are kind of used with this. In the rest, in general, in Romania, the office market and the industrial market have stabilized, I would say, during this year. It is a decent level. The office market has, the office leasing market has slightly increased, not quite to the levels prior to the pandemics, but still they are a bit in a push towards bringing more people in the office. And the industrial market has a bit lowered compared to the pandemics. And also, there is an interesting thing that is happening. We do have a very large developer, which is CTP, Mr. Remon Vos being the CEO behind, which is buying everything that he can in Romania. The industrial market is a bit difficult for the brokers because it gets concentrated into the hands of a limited number of large developers, which are doing also a lot of advertisement directly. But anyhow, we are in this period pushing in order to, let's say, increase by 10% on every channel that we can. Our marketing on ads, on search engine optimization, via the brokers, via former clients. It's a year in 2025 of being resilient, we believe. And let's hope that the situation nearby with Ukraine will not get inflated much more. Even so, these days with the missiles approval and so on, we don't know exactly what to do. But we have to be prepared and to be resilient. in 2025.
Thank you, Greta. And Francisco, briefly for Costa Rica and Chile.
Yes, to be as brief as possible, I will just mention that last week I went to a meeting with Procomer, which is the Office of Promotion of Foreign Trade Investment here in Costa Rica. A couple of things were mentioned as priorities for Costa Rica in the next years. We already have 9 out of the 15 largest life sciences companies located within Costa Rica territory. And the objective of us as a nation is to have them all here, the 15. So we, as a country, are looking forward to have the other 6 companies to come to Costa Rica. I will have the list for you guys. So in case they are a client of yours, you should know there's a huge package of incentives for them to locate within Costa Rican territory. And also we will have availability of state-of-the-art. And the other one is semiconductors. The government already assigned a piece of territory for semiconductor companies to locate in Costa Rica, but this is more in green, right? This is just beginning as of now, but the life sciences industry is a truth. We already have been moving for most of a decade. And regarding Chile, we have very good news in the residential, the multifamily business. We have basically the 2 biggest multifamily companies as clients of us in Chile, and they are giving opportunities to invest either from scratch projects that are on green, all the way up to entire buildings with full occupancy for investments. So that's a nice opportunity in case you have investors like CTP in Romania that would like to buy something in South America.
Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone for joining the call, for providing the market updates, and for trying to at least hear a little bit more about what CORFAC has to offer. Perhaps it's something for you to share within your firm so that other people can know as well. As I said before, there's a team behind each of us, there's others involved, and it would be great for them to be involved and to get to know more integrated into CORFAC. There will be a new lineup of the International Committee coming in 2025. I'll leave that for CORFAC headquarters to announce in the coming days or month or so. And just to remember that September 14th to 17th, Amsterdam is the place where I hope all of us will be, and more. And lastly, what I'd like to share is, let's now think about we, at least as an international group. We expect many people from the United States to attend and many of the internationals to attend. Perhaps there's something that we as the international group can also do to promote ourselves, frankly, and make it known. These people are coming to Europe. Let them know about all of Europe and all of Latin America. I have some thoughts, but if you have some thoughts as to what we can do, please keep it in mind. I will come back to you with that, because it's Amsterdam, yes, and we pay deference to our host, Fris, but in my view, it's an international meeting, and the international group should really be in full force and make sure that their presence is known and indeed known by all attendees. With that, it's the last call of the year. I wish everyone a great holiday season coming up, a great end of year, close a lot of deals, do as much as you can, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone again soon. If not this year, then certainly next year. Jonathan, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you all very much for being here. Appreciate it.
Great, thanks,
Great.
guys.
Daniel,
you.
thank you
Bye.
for
It
all
was
your
great seeing you.
leadership and time and
Thanks,
attention
everybody.
that you invested in the International Committee this year. Much appreciated.
Yes.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you to everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.